you and I have had great conversations about the fact that technological change is moving at a speed that our education system can't keep up with. It's outpacing our education system. So AI is not in your degree plan.
That's absolutely
IoT, blockchain, not part of your degree plan. So we got to help people really start to understand the plays and the strategies of what this means. Breaking into tech without needing a degree. Welcome to another episode of Disrupt You. I am excited again, as always, with our guests who are absolutely amazing. And here comes another amazing individual that our career paths have crossed. I'm so grateful to have you here. Hi, Lia.
Hi, Trees.
Lia Johnson, everyone.
I know. I'm so happy to be here. I'm telling you, this is exciting. It's an exciting topic, and we have so much to share that can really change the lives of many.
Why don't you share with everyone a little bit about your background?
I would love to, Trees. So I actually work for a top Fortune 50 health sciences company. I'm an executive leader in automation, whether it's intelligent automation or artificial intelligence. So I'm excited to be here with you today to share a little bit about the journey.
What I love about Lia's story, so another incredible human being who has so much humility. But for her to be able to really dominate this space of intelligent automation, really staying focused, because this space continues to transform and change. The robotics side of the house, and now you're at one of the top companies in the world, doing the work that you're doing and really innovating to new levels. Lia, I honor you.
Thank you.
I honor you.
Thank you, Trees.
And you know how much all of this means to me, and I cannot thank you enough for being here today.
It's my privilege.
Well, we get ready to get down. We got to help people really start to understand the plays and the strategies of what this means. Breaking into tech without needing a degree. Now, our situations are they're uniquely different a little bit, because you actually have 2 degrees. You're one of the ones that I talk about all the time. You have 2 degrees. I barely inched over to get mine because I focused on a tech certification path. But here we are both together. And so what I want them to know a little bit about is about your degrees, but also you and I have had great conversations about the fact that technological change is moving at a speed that our education system can't keep up with. It's outpacing our education system. So even though you had credentials, AI is not in your degree plan.
That's absolutely
IoT, blockchain, not part of your degree plan. So talk to them about the importance of the lifelong learning path and what that really means.
You touched on it, Trees. It really is about continuous learning. I had a degree in business, not in technology, but I knew early on what my passions were. So I want to focus today on 3 pillars. And Trees, the first pillar is knowledge. And it's not just knowledge about what's happening in the tech world. Yes, let's get a person.
All right, so here we are.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that person, because when I say knowledge, the first thing that you need to know is yourself. You need to understand your own passions. You need to know your strengths, and you need to know those areas where you need to develop. Because unless you can understand who you are intrinsically and what really fuels you, it'll be difficult to connect your passion to your purpose. So it's knowing yourself. And you have
say that again.
Yeah, you need to
connect your passion to
your purpose. You can only do that when you know who you are and you know your gifts. Then you can appropriate them to your purpose. So that's the first pillar, is knowledge. But there are 2 parts to that. It's knowledge of self, and then it's the knowledge based on the industry that you're interested in. Again, Trace, my degree was in business, but I learned through self-evaluation that I have 2 passions. One is people, and I better have passion for people with 7 children, and one is technology. And I found a way to fuse those passions together, and then I focused on building my knowledge around technology. So that had to be something I initiated on my own. So a story, if I can tell you, real short story, when I was in college, getting my degree in business, I knew that in order to be relevant, I needed to have experience. So I wanted an internship. So the Central Intelligence Agency was coming to the university, but they only wanted to interview students that were in the College of Engineering. So sometimes you have to be bold and know who you are and what you can bring to the opportunity. I scheduled a session, sat down, and told them that I was not from the College of Engineering. The interviewer leaned back in his chair, folded his arms, and would not give me an opportunity. But you have to be persistent. See, when you know who you are, and you know your passion, and you know your purpose, then you can advocate for yourself. Short story, I worked for the Central Intelligence Agency. That was a long journey, but you know what? I worked for the Central Intelligence Agency to build those competencies. Because I knew myself, I knew my passion, I knew my purpose. And then I positioned myself to learn the skill sets I needed to excel.
Even in that moment, you were on a totally different degree plan. You were over here in engineering.
Absolutely.
All right now, see, that's what I'm saying, is there are no limitations. There are no limitations. The business gives you the foundations that are needed. But you having to go into these spaces of technology, all of the lifelong learning that needs to happen gets paired up with the business.
Absolutely.
Right? But you don't necessarily have to have a tech degree.
You don't.
All right.
Teresa, you don't. You just have to have an interest in learning. And you touched on it already. Continuous learning is important. And there's so much information available for you to build those technical capabilities. There absolutely is YouTube. There are other forums where you can get certifications, Teresa, very much like what you did. And all of those avenues are still great avenues to position you for success.
This is so good. So we have our knowledge pillar.
Yes.
And now where do you want to move next?
You can have all of the knowledge that is available, but if you don't action it, it will not bear fruit.
Okay.
So the second pillar really is action. And there are two components of action. The first is to make sure that you build competencies around the knowledge that you've gained. So when I was in the industry working, I had to make sure that I was building the competence around the digital world. And I had to do that and show results for the business. Because if you're not delivering for the business, then you will not get the opportunities that you desire. So you have to build the competence. And then you have to advocate for yourself and you have to show up. And if you do that, then people will begin to respect you. So that's the first thing you have to do is advocate for yourself. And you also have to be resilient because you won't always get a yes. But sometimes no, it's just not yet. And sometimes no, it's go back and prepare. So that resiliency keeps you going. And if I had said, okay, I will not pursue working for the Central Intelligence Agency because I had gotten that first no, I would not have built the foundation I have today.
Good.
That's so important.
That's good.
That's so important. And the next thing that you have to do with regard to action is once you've built those competencies, then you need to bring your voice to the table and make sure people know what you're capable of doing.
All right.
Truly, in the corporate world, you own your career and you have to advocate for yourself. Yes, you need mentors. Yes, you need coaches. And it's absolutely imperative that you have sponsors. But the biggest advocate for you is you. So you have to show up. You know, we were in a very difficult time during the pandemic, and then I did work in oil and gas, and during oil and gas, sometimes the market is down and you don't see the compensation align with what you're capable of earning. I had to go into rooms many times and talk about why I deserve to be compensated based on my skill sets.
All right.
I had to advocate for myself. And Therese, during downtimes, I have advocated successfully following this model. I just want to say $20,000 increases, $30,000 increases when others weren't getting those raises. Not because they weren't capable, but because they weren't advocating for themselves.
And that's really a huge, big number one thing. I'm so proud of you for sharing this framework with us, which is incredible because all of these things are needed. It's not just about the knowledge that you're gaining in the digital world.
Absolutely.
You can get that, like you stated, on YouTube or on Coursera. All the courses are out there. But then you have to take all of these their soft skills, their negotiation skills. This is what we're talking about here.
Yes.
Is you building the competencies and saying, listen, I'm at the top of the curve. I'm an expert in this space.
Yes.
You, as a result, there are kind, graceful ways that you can continue to use your voice.
Absolutely.
So that people recognize your value.
Yes.
And if they don't recognize your value, it's okay, because you have options.
That's right.
But only because you've chosen
good.
to build your competencies.
That's good.
All right.
Therese, let's talk about absolutely spot on. Let's talk about options for a minute. When I say action and advocating for yourself, that is within the organization you sit, within the role you sit, but it also might mean you flex those other options. I was at a top oil and gas company for over 15 years. I had 8 roles. The only role I applied for was to join the organization. That means I was really supported by sponsors. And because of that, oftentimes I would be tapped on the shoulder to take roles, and that's wonderful. But remember, knowing yourself, I know what my passions are, and I know where I want to lead the next 10 years, and it's absolutely in intelligent automation, artificial intelligence, blockchain, metaverse. I know that. So when I was asked to lead in a different space where I was at that time, I had to flex my options. I had to say, no, thank you. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to say no to opportunities that do not align with your passions and your purpose. And that's okay. Because what I didn't know is another company, a top Fortune 50 company, looked at my information on LinkedIn. So we hear how important LinkedIn is, and tapped me on the shoulder to lead in the space where I have a passion. And not only did they give me that opportunity, but they were willing to very well compensate me for what I was worth. But that's because I had to advocate for myself and use my voice.
So see here, this is where the S-curve model matters, right? We talk about this, that there is a whole curve around growth that happens. And over time, we all start here at the bottom. John Whaley calls it our pain point.
Yes.
But it's the bottom portion of the S that is early on. It's hard. There's a lot of ambiguity. The learning is tough.
Yes.
You fumble around. You sometimes don't know if this is the right thing. You have self-doubt. It's all of the imposter syndrome that comes in. See, that's all here. Then you get in your groove. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm having a breakthrough point. I'm learning. I'm knowing myself. I'm understanding industry, understanding macro, micro economic factors that are impacting everything that's going on. I'm building my competency. And now you're moving up the curve to where you have this breakthrough moment. And this is what happened with you, right? You have your breakthrough moment, and then you're at the top of the curve with the S.
That's right.
You don't stop here, and this is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
At the top of this curve, there is a moment of disruption that has to happen. You've got to disrupt you.
Yes.
Disrupt yourself. That's what this show is called, by the way.
That's awesome.
Disrupt you.
And necessary.
And you disrupt yourself, but then you're going to start all over again. And where you are now, you're starting all over again with the pains of starting over, of learning.
And that's okay.
That's okay. It's where we get our dopamine, right? Our learning, our path, all of the excitement, the energy of doing something new. So what do you tell people? You don't stop.
You can't stop. And this is not sequential. This is iterative.
Okay.
And just as you mentioned, I'm at another point in my career where knowledge and gaining that knowledge is essential for me to continue to be successful. But I will. And you know why I will? It's because I know the model to thrive. And I want to teach that model to others. And it absolutely is through getting knowledge and taking action. But there's the final portion.
Okay.
And that is accountability.
All right now.
It absolutely is accountability. You have to, number one, be accountable to yourself. Hold yourself accountable. You have to, as we've heard before, write the vision down and make it plain. So when it's time, you can chase after it. Therese, we may or may not be able to have a deeper conversation, but when I shared with you that this moment is purpose, I meant that. And this isn't even necessarily for camera, but I meant that. Because what you don't know is over a year ago, God gave me this word and I wrote it down. I'm sorry.
No, we don't apologize.
But when you called me and asked me to speak and you told me the topic, I said, oh my God.
Oh, yes.
It is such a time as this.
Yes.
Because it's purpose. And that's another thing that's so important, tapping into your purpose. I had to write that vision down, and I did. So when you asked me, did I need notes? I said, no, it's here. Because I had already written this down a year ago. And it's the season now to share it because it's worked for me. It's working for my 7 children, but I want it to work for others. I want to see other people excel. Because it's not just for those of us that have figured this out. It is for us to give it. That's why you have stood up, Disrupt You. It's not for you. You already have achieved that success and you'll continue to go higher and higher. But it's for others whose lives you can change.
So let me say this. People think technology is just about a bunch of apps, widgets. It's hard.
Yes, it is.
Innovation is hard. It's people, because we're doing all of this. Think about the work you do every day, the lives you save.
Yes.
In the healthcare industry.
Oh, yes.
And so it all starts, and this is what I've been saying, and this was unplanned, which is amazing. Because the more you walk into your purpose and your gifting,
yes,
the greater you're able to be successful, because nothing is off limits for you.
That's
no
right.
one can come and tell you what it is that you can or cannot achieve.
Absolutely.
And no one can tell you about the salary that you can or cannot make. You determine your path.
That's right. And I'm not threatened. I'm not threatened because the people that may want to speak over my life, they didn't get me to where I am. And they can't take me off my path.
You know what? You're preaching.
But that's absolute.
This is good.
That's absolute. And when we talk about accountability too, holding myself accountable, it's also about getting yourself in the circles of others to hold you accountable. So those mentors, seeking wise counsel, those coaches are so important, because there are times when you enter new spaces, you don't see the blind spots, but people that have gone before you can help you avoid those pitfalls.
Oh, this
so
is
we
good.
have to stay in that circle of
accountability.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. My goodness.
That's good stuff.
This is good stuff.
But this is how, through so many obstacles, I saw opportunities. Through so many challenges, I saw victories. And I was able to thrive with this method.
Whew. So I'm going to ask you a final question. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where's your destination?
My destination always evolves because I'm never complacent in where I sit. And it's always a trajectory to the next level. And I know that. And it's not just for me and for mine, but it's for whoever crosses my path. There are people in this room that know that. I will go wherever there are opportunities to help impact the lives of others, to pull them up so they can sit on this pedal with us.
What I love about this is the democratization of tech. So we've been saying entering this space with no degree. It doesn't mean no learning. It means that you're going to double down on the learning, but it's a new alternative path of learning. learning online, learning through MOOCs, the online learning courses, learning through free learning on YouTube. It is an extremely multi-dimensional space that from industry to even knowing yourself, there's plenty of knowledge out there about how to get to know you, how to uncover your purpose, your gifting, moving through the trajectory, your competency building, the digital intelligence, building resilience, then getting up and saying, you know what? I've cultivated myself.
That's right.
I'm ready. Now my voice, I want a seat at the table.
This
is the table. Okay? And now we move forward to where you don't stop here. You build a network of accountability while you hold yourself accountable to move yourself continuously through this wave of disruption so that you can continue to learn. And then you said it, reiterate the model over again. Lia, you're brilliant, my friend. You're brilliant.
It's just been...
And I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. Is there any final words that you want to share with all of these amazing people that are tuning in today?
Absolutely. I just want each of you to understand that within you is unlimited potential, and you can tap into it by making sure you understand your purpose and by connecting your passion to that purpose, because there is a promise for you. It doesn't mean it will come without troubles and obstacles, but you will overcome if you're resilient and persistent. And you absolutely can achieve those levels of learning in tech without that tech degree. There's so much out there for you to grasp and you can appropriate so you can build the career that you're hoping for.
Now, I wasn't gonna write this, but she said something. I'm gonna go on and write it. She said, from the purpose to the passion to the promise.
That's right.
Oh, the promised land. I'm not gonna go there right now. Oh, I tell y'all, I might get in trouble. I'm loving this. This has been incredible and amazing. You, my darling dear, this has been so awesome. I cannot thank you enough. I can't thank all of you enough for joining us today. We cannot begin to wrap our arms around how big this space is for each of us. There's enough room for everyone. And so, Lia, where can they follow you?
Well, they can follow me on LinkedIn. So it's Lia Williams-Johnson, MBA, and they can connect anytime.
I love it. So much more to come, and we can't wait for you to join us our next time. Follow me on Treese the Unicorn on all of the channels that you see below. And until next time, let's go.